Your book today. Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Big Shot. Mr. Pato told Mom that our team was hopeless at basketball and he wasn't willing to put us through any more misery. And even though it sounded a little harsh, Mom didn't argue with him. A week later, Mom invited the whole team to our house. I thought this was one of those end of the season parties where you have pizza and maybe watch a movie or something, but it was a whole other thing. Once everyone got to our house, Mom said she had an announcement to make. She said she was going to enter us in the second chance tournament and she was gonna be our coach. Then she said we were going to enter the tournament was a whole new team for a fresh start, and she started handing out uniforms. Everyone got kind of excited because these uniforms looked expensive. The jerseys had blue and gold stitching, and each kid's last name was written on the back. There was no sponsor this time, so I'm guessing Mom paid for these out of her own pocket. On the front of each jersey was a picture of one of those sled dogs you see in Alaska, and Mom explained it was good that our team was gonna be the Huskies, just like her middle school basketball team. It was pretty obvious Mom was just trying to relieve her glory days through us, but I didn't really care because I said those uniforms were nice. Mom said that this time around we were gonna be winners, and that sounded a whole lot better than being accountants and puppeteers. Thursday. The big tournament is less than a week away. So our team doesn't have a ton of time to prepare, but after our first practice, I'm kind of glad we don't. Mom's coaching style is completely different from Mr. Pato's. Instead of working on our basketball skills, we did a bunch of touch-feely team building exercise. Okay, all together now. I've got your back. I just hope Mom knows what she's doing because I don't see how that stuff is going to help us win any games. One of the exercises was supposed to help us get to know each other better. One of our exercises was to help us get to know each other better. We stood in a circle, and when you threw the ball to another player, you had to tell everyone something about yourself. So when it was my turn to throw the ball, I said that I like mint chocolate ice cream. But when Edward Mealy got the ball, he finally started talking. He told us how his stepmom is really strict and how she doesn't like his pet turtle that he got for his birthday. In fact, he went on for so long that Mom had to take the ball from him and hand it to someone else. After that, we played some actual basketball. Mom tried teaching us a few plays that her team used the year that they reached the state finals, but we're having a trouble getting the hang of things. Oof. I didn't think the fact that we were in terrible was such a bad thing. I've seen a bunch of those movies about teams who are underdogs, but then they pull together and win in the end. And I've been wondering if we could do that. But the players who are on those teams never make any money because they're not the ones telling the story. So I've been thinking that if we turn into one of those teams that inspires a movie, I'm gonna be the one to cash in. So before practice tonight, I put together a permission for my teammates to sign it. I Herbie authorized Greg Heffley to use my likeness and image in a film or television series and any subsequent sequels throughout the universe in perpetuity. Sign here. The only person who gave me an issue about it was Yusuf, who said he'd have to ask his parents before he could sign the form, but I promised to give him a lunch snack for the next 3 days. He was on board, too. Scribble, scribble. All we need to do now is win this tournament so I can sell the rights to one of those studios that make feel good movies, and I can already see the poster in my head. The underdogs. Every dog has a day. The second chance tournament was halfway across the state. I guess my teammates' parents were burned out on basketball because none of them wanted to make the drive. So yesterday, Mom rented a big van to get the team to the tournament. She said there was a chance we'd play for 2 days, so everyone had to pack an overnight bag. Vroom! Some kids packed way too much stuff for one night. Yusuf brought 2 loaves of bread and a bunch of supplies for sandwiches, plus a backpack filled with chocolate-covered raisins. Jabro brought his video game system and a computer monitor so we can all play games in the van. But I guess it was too much for the vehicle's electric system to handle because we had to pull into a repair shop when the circuit board got overloaded. Repairs while you wait. We made another pit stop when Yusuf needed to use the restroom after eating half of the chocolate-covered raisin all by himself. And even though we left 2 hours early, we barely made it to the tournament on time. Since this was a big competition, I thought it would be held at a college campus or even a convention center or something. So I was pretty disappointed when we pulled up at the old prison that's scheduled to be torn down next year. State penitentiary. But I guess that's just the way it is when your team is one of the worst in the state. Second chance tournament, welcome middle schoolers. When Mom went to the desk to register, she got some bad news. There were already a team called the Huskies in tournament, so she had to come up with another name, and I guess Mom was feeling stressed that we were late, so she just wrote down the first name that popped into her head. Second chess tournament, registering for team name, Winter Dogs. But when I saw the names of some of the other teams we were competing against, I didn't feel so bad about ours. Yellow Bellies, Banana Slugs, Brawlers, Rubber Duckies, Archokers, Banshees, Mathlete All-Stars, Winter Dogs. Guys, there isn't a Husky. Huskies, and there isn't a Husky here.
그러게.
I guess the Huskies left.
다른 컵.
The games were being held in a big open area that must have been used as a cafeteria when the prison was open. There was a big sign with a list of rules written on it, and I'm not sure if it was for us or for the prisoners. Mess hall rules: no sharp objects, no stealing, no complaining, no food fights. The courts were side by side, which meant there wasn't any room for fans to watch the game, but that was okay because it looked like nobody else's parents had come to this thing either. Our opponents were already warming up on court 3, and I have to admit, I was a little relieved that we were playing the Mathlete All-Stars in round 1. But I should have underestimated them because these guys made up for their lack of basketball skills with their brains. D equals x2 minus x2 plus y2 minus y2. y1 minus y1. y2 minus y1. x2 minus x1. Y equals mx plus b. Their team was lousy on defense, so we scored a bunch too, but we couldn't do anything to stop their offense. And at the final buzzer, the score was 37-30, Mathlete All-Stars. Me and my teammates was pretty bummed out because we knew this was our big chance to finally get a win, and we blew it. Plus, we felt a little dumb for packing overnight bags. But then Mom told us something that was pretty shocking. She said that in the second chance tournament you played until you won. That meant in the Mathletes were going home and we were staying. Well, that changed everything. It meant we were actually stuck in this place until we got a victory, and now it made sense why they decided to hold this tournament in a prison. Mom checked the results for the first round games to see who we were facing next. The name of the team was the Brawlers, which sounded a little more intimidating than the Mathlete. But then Mom got the scoop. The Brawlers was a team made up of all of the kids in the state who got thrown out of the game for fighting. So I guess the second chance thing wasn't just about wins. When we got our first look at these guys, we knew we were in trouble. I was glad Mom didn't put me in the starting lineup because the game was a fight from start to finish. Right after the tip-off, one of the Brawlers clotheslined Kevin, so Ruby Bird jumped on the kid's back, and then everyone joined in. Pow! Ah! Ah! I don't think the refs wanted to get in the middle of a fight, so they just let it go, and I'm pretty sure they didn't blow their whistles once. Kapow! Since there wasn't a lot of actual basketball being played, it was just a low-scoring contest, but the Brawlers edged us out in the end, and the final was 6-5. Our team was pretty gassed from playing 2 games in a row, but we weren't done yet. We had to face a team called the Stage Whispers in the third round, and they looked tired too. I couldn't figure out what the deal was with these guys until we started playing. They must have been a part of the theater group at their school because they were all great actors. Every time one of our players would get anyone near one of those guys, they flop and act like they were injured. And even though we never touched them, we picked up 15 personal fouls in the first quarter. Oof! Ah! Faint. The team scored almost all of their points from the free throw line, and we ended up losing that one 33-17. And if we had to play another game after that, I don't think we could have actually done it. Luckily, the next round wasn't until the morning, so we went to a hotel a few miles away where I was looking forward to getting a good night's sleep. But I guess Mom didn't think we'd be playing this late in the tournament, so she hadn't booked our rooms ahead of time, and by then we were only 2 left in the hotel. So Mom booked one room for her and Ruby, and one for the rest of us. I don't know what it was like to share a room with Ruby, but I can tell you it sure wasn't fun sharing a room with the guys on my team. From the way my teammates were acting, I doubt one of the guys had ever been in a hotel room before, and I actually thought about calling security on them a bunch of times. But I didn't, and that was a big mistake because one of them started an ice cube fight and it hit a sprinkler in the ceiling. It turns out when the sprinkler go off, it triggers the fire alarm. So we spent the next 2 hours outside in the freezing cold along with everyone else who was staying at the hotel, while the fire department reset the alarms. In the morning. Mom was pretty annoyed with us, but she seemed focused on the day ahead. During breakfast, Mom said we were heading to the Final Four and that we all needed to play as a team to pull out a win today. Then she told everyone how it felt to lose her very last game, and that she sometimes wonders if she could have done anything different to change the outcome. Mom said she didn't want us to have any regrets, so we needed to leave everything on the floor today. It was a good speech and all. But the difference between Mom's team and our team was that her team was trying to prove they were the best, and we were just not trying to be the worst. So the truth is, we did actually need the extra motivation. Yesterday morning, when we showed up at the tournament, nobody knew who we were. But after setting off with the fire alarm last night, everyone did. And the team we played in the next round was out for revenge. They were the only all-girl team in the whole tournament. So, and I guess they didn't appreciate having their sleep interrupted. So when they faced off against the Banshees, they were ready to play. In the third quarter, Mom had to take Ruby out of the game to give her a rest, but I really wish she hadn't put me in to take her place, because it was like throwing raw meat into a bunch of wolves. I don't even remember what the final score was. All I know is that we lost and they got to go home. I have no idea how the Banshees lasted so long in the tournament without a win, because those girls were tough. But when I saw the two teams who were still fighting for the chance to go home, I could see why those guys were still here. The two teams left were the original Huskies and the Funky Dunkers, and they both looked equally terrible to me, so it was anyone's game to lose. But the Funky Dunkers only had 5 players with no subs, so even though they put up a good fight, they ran out for their gas at the end, and that meant they had to face us in the finals. I should have figured this out a lot sooner, but everyone in this morning tournament couldn't go home. A winner, and whoever lost the last game would know for sure that they were the worst team in the state. So we all wanted to win the last game, but nobody wanted it more than Mom. And before we started, she went over the game plan and made some last-minute changes to the lineup. By that point, almost everybody had left the building, and the place was practically empty. But then 2 people walked in through the doors. Court 1. Preet was wearing some sort of boot, so I guess that meant he didn't need crutches anymore. Mom asked Mr. Patel what they were doing here, and he said they heard we were playing today, so they came out to support us. But Mom said we didn't need cheerleaders. We needed players. So then she asked Pri if he'd be willing to play in his boot, and I guess Pri must have missed competing because he said yes. Luckily, Mom had a spare jersey in her bag, and she gave it to Pri to suit up. Then she put him in the starting lineup and told us she was making one more change to the playbook. Mom threw out all of our players and replaced them with just one, which was called "Get the Ball to Pri," and everyone was happy because we finally had a play we could understand. The ref blew the whistle to start the game, and we won the opening tip-off. Yusuf passed the ball to Pri, who was better one leg than the rest of us on two. The only problem was that he couldn't run, and every time he scored, the Funky Dunkers got an easy basket at the other end of the floor. Just before halftime, something really awful happened. A bunch of kids on the other team were trying to stop Pri from shooting, and he stepped on the point guard's foot with his boot. The kid had to be helped off the floor by his coach and the other player, and we all clapped because for some reason that's what you're supposed to do in that situation. Clap, 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 clap. Now the Funky Dunkers were down to 4 players. The head ref said that since the Funky Dunkers didn't have a full team, they were gonna have to forfeit. And I think their coach was totally fine with that. But Mom wasn't. She said if we were gonna win, she wanted us to do it fair and square. So she said she'd send one of our players to the other team so we could finish the game. I guess the other coach figured he had nothing to lose, so he agreed. Then he said he'd take Pri, but the head ref said Mom should be one to decide which players to send to the other team. And after thinking it over for a minute, she picked me. To be honest, I was kind of shocked because I never expected to get traded by my own mother, but as I walked toward the other team bench, she whispered something in my ear. "You're my secret weapon." Well, now I was totally confused. I wanted our team to win this game as much as Mom, but I didn't think she'd want me to cheat. I was willing to do whatever it took, though, including putting on someone else's uniform. When the second half started, I got out on the floor and acted like I was trying my hardest, but I guess my new teammates didn't trust me anyway because they wouldn't pass the ball to me. After a few minutes, I stood in the corner to stay out of everyone's way, and that was actually a great spot to watch the game, which was starting to get really good. Every time Pri would hit some crazy shot, somebody on the Funky Dunkers would score at the other end. It went back and forth like that for the whole second half, and I was so caught up watching the game, I forgot I was actually in it. So when Pri missed a three-pointer and the ball bounced off the rim, I was shocked when it came to me. Clang. I didn't know if I should pass or dribble or what, but I couldn't really do anything anyway because all of a sudden my former teammates were all over me. the clock was ticking down and the Funky Dunkers were behind by 2, so I looked over at the bench to see what Mom wanted me to do. But she didn't exactly look, she was rooting for me. That's when I realized why Mom sent me to the other side in the first place. It was because I was some sort of secret weapon. It was because I stunk and she knew I would blow it for the other team. But by then I honestly didn't care. I just wanted to get rid of the ball to give myself a little space. So I chucked it with all my might. When it launched it, everybody just froze and it felt like time stood still, and all anybody could do was watch as the ball flew through the air. And when the ball went through the net at the other side of the court, you could hear a pin drop. Swish! My shot was good for 3 points, which put the Funky Dunkers ahead by 1, and when the final buzzer went off, my new teammates swarmed me. I finally got to see how it felt like to be a hero for once, and for the first time I could see why everybody's always making a big deal about sports. In fact, I was thinking that this should make a good movie, so I started working on getting signatures from my new teammates. I gotta say, Mom was right about sports bringing people together. After the game, me and the guys went out for ice cream, and we were having so much fun that we decided to have seconds. We were even talking about getting the team together and doing this all over next year. And even though that could be fun, I think sometimes you should just quit while you're ahead.